Hello, YouTube. Alright, today it is August, Scarlet Sith, and this will be my first review post Otakon, which was really fun, but kind of slow up until Sunday when it really picked up. But yes, Scarlet Sith, like her on Facebook. Her birthday is later this month, so yes. I will be bringing you today Batman Detective Comics 2023, The Dark Knight Dethroned by the Wrath. Awesome cover here. And as I said before, I really wanted to see the Wrath in the New 52, and my wish was granted here, but they kind of disappoint me just slightly, but in the beginning here, where they begin off with a flashback here, 3 years ago, where Batman first encountered Scorn, and this is the original Scorn that they're going after, Clyde Anderson Scorn, and he's explaining to Jim Gordon, you know, how they met and what happened to him after their original first meeting. Says here, okay, his fibula. He broke his fibula in 2 places. Says you're going to spend the next several months off your feet and behind bars. Let me offer you some advice. Some advice. Use the time wisely. Pursue a GED or some sort of vocationary skill set so you can do something useful when you get out. Because if we meet again, you won't find me quite so friendly. And the monologues continues the monologue, saying, oddly enough, Anderson did not blame Batman for his incarceration, but instead blamed the police who brought him in after he had contained him. The same police who managed to capture him half a dozen other times. Anderson kept himself plenty busy in jail, though not particularly wisely, writing letters, filing complaints, one frivolous lawsuit after another. His lawyer managed to get his sentence reduced after multiple appeals, and according to his parole documents, Anderson's freedom was contingent upon successful completion of a work release program where a charitable local businessman offered him an entry-level job with a second chance. The businessman was the CEO of Caldwell Technologies, E.D. Caldwell. And as it continues, it says, but I have gotten to know him better recently as the Wrath. So, Batman Detective Comics 23, Bat and Mouse. It's a lovely beginning there. So yes, starts back up. 5 seconds later, before everyone was getting strangled, he had 2 police officers in his sights for his sniper rifle, or sniper, I don't know what kind of gun, but Batman kicks it away, says no more, and they get into a tussle. Wrath fires off some shots at Batman, saying, bullet resistant. Batman breaks the gun, you know, and you say some sort of lightweight polymer carbon composite, I'm guessing. These little arm things. Says, how does it stand up against 60,000 watts of current? So he comes, Wrath, you know, his hands are just all electricity, and he comes at Batman and he just subdues him. Batman is on his knees, just steaming, and Batman is continuing to have the internal dialogue. Saying, you know, his Caldwell Technologies is a military equipment manufacturer. It was Caldwell who supplied Anderson the means to become Scorn. And Wrath, as he's looking down at Batman, saying, you know, yes, well insulated. Well, enough anyway. Though I suspect you are still feeling that jolt from your scrambled synapses all the way to your fillings. One thing's for sure, Batman, you have neat toys. I'm going to want another look at that suit which is the only reason why I'm leaving you alive. But don't get in my way again, because this is a game you are certain to lose. So as Batman staggers to his feet, he says, just as I have no doubt it was Rath who tossed Anderson out of the helicopter after Storm proved to be the disappointment, but there's a difference between having certainty and having proof. If I can't catch him on the streets, I'm going to need both. So we're at Wayne Manor, and Bruce is talking to Alfred about his plot to reveal E.D. Caldwell as the Wrath. And he says, it is extreme, Alfred. The police are being targeted and killed. The other people dedicated to keeping Gotham safe, and I'll go to any extreme to prevent that from happening. So Alfred says, I don't ever recall you being concerned with putting yourself in the middle of danger, or without the bat suit, much to my eternal dismay. But Bruce says, I was talking about dangerous for you. A little Dark Knight Rises thing thrown in there. So he says, that is if you're willing. But most certainly, Master Bruce. Blah, blah, blah. Good. Wrath is expecting Batman. Wrath is expecting a fight. So let's hit him where he's not expecting. And as Bruce and Alfred leave out of his room, you see a newspaper that says Wayne Enterprises for sale. Playboy CEO Bruce Wayne reportedly in negotiating with Caldwell Tech. So, and we arrive at Caldwell Technologies not long after, it says, where Mrs. Waters meet them and bring them up to the inside, where Caldwell is posturing quite God complex-like out of the window while he's having a chat with Harvey Bullock, and which Miss Waters says, he won't be long now. So says, Harvey Bullock is questioning him, and Bruce asks Alfred, how's our schedule looking? And Alfred says, things are looking good, sir, as he looks at his watch. And it has a 3D print of the stairs and everything on the inside of Caldwell Technologies. And then he says, in fact, things are looking exceptional. So, as Harvey Bullock is leaving, he says, thank you for your time, Mr. Caldwell. And to which Wrath, Caldwell, he says, of course, Lieutenant. But he tells him to call him Bullock, refer to him as Bullock. But says, and I do hope you find your man. So Bruce, internal dialogue, he says, Bullock's looking distinctly more Bullock-like than the last time I saw him, and more miserable than ever. Bullock, as he's leaving out of the elevator, says, one more thing, Mr. Caldwell. Both the commissioner and the mayor wanted me to pass along their gratitude. All the equipment your company donated to the GCPD is going to come in handy. Bruce clutches his fist and says, equipment. The man targeting police is supplying the GCPD with equipment, and that's exactly when I knew what Caldwell was up to next. So yes, Caldwell greets Bruce Wayne. He says, so happy to hear that you've reconsidered my offer. And he kind of says back what Bruce said in the previous comment. Newspaper headlines does not mean something true. As I told you before, Wayne Enterprise is not for sale. And yet here you are, which means you're at least willing to hear the particulars of my offer. And Bruce says he has no idea why I'm here. So they go into another area of the Caldwell complex, I guess, and he says, come with me. And Bruce tells Pennyworth Alfred they can stay there, just outside. But Bruce tells Caldwell, I've worked my entire life to make Wayne Enterprises what it is. It is my family's legacy, and I won't compromise it. This is non-negotiable. And Caldwell says he replies with, but of course, I understand completely, and respect you all the more for it. So I'm knocking the door, and he says, thank you, Mr. Waters. Bruce, change into this, please, if you think you're up to it. And Mr. Waters, he hands Bruce Wayne some clothing, and which Bruce says, what is this? And they step down into another area. It looks like a gym, like a little area. He said, but Caldwell says, this is where we negotiate. In a little boxing arena. See that? And then, and so they have a little sparring match, and he says, Caldwell says, I appreciate you indulging me, Mr. Wayne. My daily routine does not allow enough time to exercise, and I find my mind works best when I'm multitasking. And so he says, just try to go easy on me. I'm not used to this, Bruce says. He says, sorry, Wayne. No promises, but maybe you can convince me to go easy on you, and maybe you can convince me to go easy on you, and maybe I can convince you to sell. So I'm not interested in your family business. I don't need all of Wayne Enterprises, but I am interested in your Batman tech. Says Batman. Says his gear, his weapons. I want to mass produce it. This is what Caldwell Industries does best. And so I want what he's got, and whatever you're financing for him next. Secret weapons and whatnot. Says Wayne Industries Enterprises does not make weapons. And as for secret weapons, says internal dialogue. Alfred is going down the stairs, sneaking around. He says, Bruce says, what would I know about Batman's secret weapons? And Caldwell deals like a punch to him, and the gut there says, surely Batman doesn't create all his equipment himself. He's brawn. There has to be some brain behind his operations. And Alfred is, breaking into like a secret door and stuff, wires. And as Caldwell is, taking advantage, he's like, got Bruce on the edge there. It moves. I think the stage out to like the balcony and stuff, exposed to the wind. He says, so Bruce says, that's not me. I'm not the brain behind the operation. Caldwell says, I don't believe you. So there's no way he's doing it on his own. And then Bruce says, I tell you again, even if what you're saying was true, that information is not for sale. And neither am I. And he does a little arm takedown thing, and Caldwell is hanging off the edge, to which Bruce says, I could end it now. He's here, but that isn't the way. I want to so badly, but that's the way. So he says, not bad, Wayne. You've got a couple of decent shots there. He says, Bruce says, I got lucky. But Caldwell says, nonsense. You've had a bit of training. I think you might have knocked out one of my contacts. And I'm not sure if it's meant to be his contact looking at Alfred or an actual camera, but we see a frame of Alfred right there, and Caldwell excuses himself and says, should you need anything, Mr. and Mrs. Waters will take care of you. And Bruce is left there to his own devices, and Mr. and Mrs. Waters look ominous behind him as his phone rings. It's Alfred, and he says, sir, I inserted the security bypass and managed to pull the security codes to Caldwell's private elevator. You said you believe that Caldwell is Wrath? I'm afraid I can confirm your suspicions. You also said you know he's ready for a fight. I'm afraid that isn't entirely correct. He's not just ready for a fight. He's readying himself for war. You can see an awesome splash there. His tanks, his helicopters, his spacecraft in the background there. Really awesome, really awesome. So, and then we see the Wrath, show up right behind Alfred, freaking backhand him, freaking saying, indeed I am. I knew the Money Man would have a line to Batman, and you're the Money Man's right-hand man, aren't you? So I'll break you first. Krang, So Bruce is still on the phone with him, and you can see his eyes kind of water up just a little bit right there, just, a little bit. So he says, hello? And Mrs. Waters pulls out a gun, and I don't know what happened to Mr. Waters, but back to Wrath and Alfred as he's on the ground. He says, look over there, little man. Up until now, I've launched just a few opening salvos. And he has like 3 little screens and stuff with the GCPD. And he says, but now, and he presses a button, and they get electroshocked. Like all the police are electroshocked. And says, as Gotham City's finest are about to find out, now it's time for an all-out assault. Says, you monster. Mrs. Waters, take Bruce Wayne into custody. And he's just, posturing there, just very, as I said before, very Darth Vader-like. And I love that. I love that. And as he says, Mrs. Waters, she's knocked out. No sign of Mr. Waters. Apparently he went to the bathroom. Bruce is getting into the bat plane, with everything on, if there were security cameras, he would be screwed. But yes, Wrath takes the watch from Alfred, says, give me that. I have your man. Which one of his bosses do I have the pleasure of talking to? Is this Bruce Wayne or Batman? And Bruce, he's all done up. He says, this is Batman. And so the Wrath says, good. I'm coming for you next. And next, showdown. And then again, the backup story with Man-Bat and his wife. That's good. That's good also. That's very good also. But yes, this is a nice good issue. Very good issue. I think the first issue was just awesome, impeccable. This issue is really just like a nice setup to what's going to be, hopefully really awesome. I'm loving the Wrath and the New 52, loving everything about it. I'm glad that he's whipping Batman's ass, yeah. So freaking this will be like I think it's a setup issue. So I think 7.5 out of 10 is a nice good number. Nice issue. So yeah, thanks guys for watching. Follow me, Tumblr, Twitter, whatever's put down there. Thanks for watching. Peace.